Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. This afternoon's vendor marketing and mastermind webinar is going to cover an area that I think is oftentimes strong out of the gate, but then the follow through really lacks luster when it comes to the announcement of integration partnerships. This is related to legal technology products, or even if you have similar offerings and a partnership with a company that might be complementary to yours. We're really good at, getting the announcement out the door, but what are some things that you can do from a follow-up perspective that really help build that lasting relationship between you and the other provider? So today we're going to go through some of the strategies that you can use to keep that integration buzz going, and then also a couple of books, just some recommended reading. So this session is being recorded. If you've got another conflict need to jump out, we will be sending the recording around. I also encourage you to share this information with colleagues. To tell you a little bit about myself, I've had 12 years in the legal technology space. I write the blog Lex Tech Review, but then I'm also the founder of the media group, the Legal Technology Media Group, where we help our vendor clients get placement, work with thought leaders. Honestly, we try to pay for ourselves through avoiding a lot of the advertising that might not work for their particular product or service. And you can learn more about that at the legaltechmg.com. So we only focus on legal products and getting your products or services in front of attorneys or legal professionals. So without further ado, let's jump in. Maximizing integration partnerships. So you go through all of the time and headache and energy, and my career also includes running a development team and building products, so I know the painstaking effort and the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making an integration great, and all of the little nuances and details that go through, getting user feedback and testing, and the late nights, spent QAing the software to make sure that everything works. So that being said, what can you do to get the most out of the partnership? And first, I want to start with making the announcement. So of course, it is something, especially if it's another major player in the space, that you want to issue that press release. But the press release doesn't always get picked up. And if you're issuing it on PR Newswire, it's great for SEO. Of course, you want to post that on your website in the press section, but you also have to do individual media outreach. And so when I talk about individual media outreach, what I mean is that if you haven't already started or invested time in going to industry events and meeting the thought leaders in the space, or influencers, or other influential company CEOs or leadership, you should have a specific list that has media people or thought leader contact information that you use specifically for announcements. These are not people that are going to get your regular newsletters. You might have them on the newsletters, but they kind of tune that stuff out. These are one-on-one emails where you will share the press release with a personalized message and not asking them for anything. Don't ask them directly to write something about it. Just say, hey, it's been a really exciting day for us. We're excited about this next chapter in this partnership. Here's a little bit of information in case any questions come your way. So you want to kind of preface it in that style, because what it does is it points out the fact that someone might ask them about this partnership or about this announcement. And so by doing that, you are gracefully giving them the information. You're not directly asking them for something for free. And in some cases, you can buy sponsored posts on websites like Bob Ambrosie's law sites, or through the Above the Law network, or on the Lawyerist or Attorney at Work, or General Counsel News, depending upon what your ideal target client is, those paid placements are available. And that is something where it's timing it with the press release. I would coordinate additional paid placements on some of those websites where it makes sense to spend those ad dollars. And then the other thing you can consider is LinkedIn or social media placement. So taking that same announcement press release and throwing a little bit of effort into that LinkedIn placement. Now, LinkedIn, while the advertising route is great, you're actually better served by posting the press release on your LinkedIn profile on the company page, and then again doing that individual outreach. And this is something where if you have a premium account, you can use LinkedIn InMail, but your day when you're making that announcement as a marketer or a product owner, your day should be completely blocked off. Because one, any questions that come in about the announcement, you're going to need to field those. You're going to need to field those phone calls. And then two, you're going to want to reserve your own time for that individual outreach. So sending those one-on-one emails to your media contact list, sending out a link to the press release and asking them to share it on LinkedIn with their own network through LinkedIn messages, or again, individual emails. So this is something where every single integration that you have should go through this same process. And what this does is this creates momentum. It creates momentum in the marketplace. It keeps you engaged with other partners that potentially might want to integrate with you if they don't already. And it shows a consistent amount of effort and energy being put into these integration partnerships. And the reason why I point that out is because you may have been turned down by people before that, maybe there's a major player in this space that you want to integrate with, but you're not getting prioritized on their development list. So when they see a consistent amount of activity and effort being put into these partnerships, they know that that's the same kind of treatment that they are going to get when they decide to prioritize you on their development timeline. So leaning on all of your contacts, all of your employees, this is something from a cultural perspective. Employees should be ambassadors of the brand, ambassadors of, they should be proud, to be working for an organization that has exciting things going on. And social media, in my opinion, is a business tool. It is a business development and a marketing tool. And so by teaching your employees, especially those at a management or leadership level, spoon feed them with the information that they need to go and promote the brand. Do not rely on your employees or partners of any kind to come up with something creative to say. In my experience, you are most successful in these types of relationships and with any type of marketing or communication in general when you spoon feed or provide templates to your partners, providers, employees, anyone who you are asking to do anything for your organization. Give them the tools to do so. Do not leave them to their own devices for two reasons. One, you can't control the content when it comes out, and two, they'll do it when they feel like it, which is not probably at the top of their priority list that day. So anytime I'm sending an email, anytime I'm sending an email message, at the bottom of it, I will share, hey, here is, some sample post language if you want to promote this on social media that you can copy and paste. And you would be amazed at how much more effective that is. And then if there is something that you would like them to do, put it in a numbered list instead of a bulleted list. So for some reason, just psychologically, you can send an email with bullet points asking someone to do a series of tasks, and bullet points they don't respond to, but when formatted with numbers, all of a sudden it becomes something that they can work their way down the list and check things off. And then lastly, YouTube video tutorial. So on the day that the announcement is made, if you're issuing that press release, video is the highest converting type of media to date. And if you are able to have a video, even just like a short, under 5 minutes, ideally 2 or 3 minute overview of what the integration includes or the benefits that it brings to both customers, you should include that as a link in the press release, and then also embed that on your website on a dedicated page specific to that integration. And so that's just the general, kind of high level of what at a minimum you should be doing on announcement day. So again, block that entire day off on your calendar. And make sure that you're available for any calls or inquiries that come in, and that the rest of your time that day is spent on placement, on individual one-on-one outreach, and on giving everyone that you have in your contact list that is, someone who might want to share this or email out their client base. If you work or have a certified consultant program, this is a great place to get them involved as well. Providing them with that template language or suggested language that they can use to go out and spread the word. So timing. This is really where things start to fall apart. We're really good at that announcement day of, just jumping up and screaming from the top of the mountain, hey, we're working together, we've done this, but I cannot tell you how many times a month later I will have an interaction with a client who I know, is a client of a piece of software that just had a major release or just had a major announcement, and they don't even know that those features are available to them. So the combination of the announcement, and again, just going back to that press release, you have two options there. You can issue that press release on something like PR Newswire or eNewsWire, or there is the ALM network, which is specific to legal. A little bit more expensive to issue it on ALM, but again, I would rather pay more to have a highly targeted press release go out than to blast something to the entire world and it not get any traction. So consider using the ALM network for that distribution because it's specific to our industry. Next is that email to clients on announcement day. So this is something that everybody does fairly well. Hey, we've just announced this integration. Both partners should be sending an email out to clients on the same day and comparing notes to make sure that the benefits that you're promising or that you're highlighting are the same. And you can also use that email to kind of highlight features as to why they would want to use both pieces of software together, or the services to complement each other in a particular way. Give them use cases, give them scenarios. It should not be, the messaging should not be that is such of, hey, here's this announcement or here's this partnership. Give them real world use cases. I have yet to enter a sales conversation with a legal professional where the first thing that they don't ask me is, tell me about somebody else like me who's using this to do a particular task or solve a particular problem. That's what they care about. They don't care about the grandiose announcement of your partnership with a particular brand. They care about what this is going to do for me today. And then again, follow that up a week later, or if you have marketing software in place, one of my favorite features is to resend the next day or the next morning to anyone who did not open. So just make sure if you have the ability to segment your lists or use that usage data in that way, that you're able to change it up and resend to anyone who did not open because it clearly just got lost in their inbox or it didn't, wasn't enticing enough. And in that situation, I also like to change the subject line. So follow that up a week later with a have you tried it email. And this is something where, again, we're busy, we're all over prioritized, we all have full schedules. And that 1 week later, the have you tried it, do not give them a tremendous amount of information in the subject line. Do not tell them how many hours it's going to save. In that subject line, just simply ask them, have you tried it? And have it be a plain text email that links to the integration page saying, this is something that a lot of our clients have jumped on and started using right away. Have you had a chance to check it out? If not, what can I do to help you? Do you want to see a demo? Here's a link to the YouTube video. This is the types of problems that it solves. Keep it very light, very simple, plain text, because they may not have reacted to the fancy, shiny marketing version of the email that came out the week before. So switch it up and be more personal in that second week. And then on that same note, you have this email campaign going, but what is your sales team doing? And then is there an incentive? So can you combine this with urgency, with an offer that expires, with a discount? Does it make sense to segment your list and go after specific users? For example, depending upon what you are integrating with and the type of product that you have, is this something that your entire client base is going to use? And if anybody wants to tell me, yes, everybody in our entire client base is going to use this because it's just that amazing, awesome. However, I highly doubt it. So if you can segment to firms that you know, maybe over a certain number of users, like look at the data that you have, whether it's number of users in a firm, particular practice area, like for example, if you've integrated with like a court deadlines or a scheduling tool, where that's going to be particularly powerful for firms in an area that have a lot of trial work or that have a lot of judicial appointments or hearings or other things that could be affected by the calendar, and that's a very sensitive area for them. Maybe segment those users out and do an individual campaign specific to the features and the integrations. And this should be something that you have an open line of communication with your partner. I think a lot of times we rush through the integration because we're focusing on the technical details of mapping, fields, and where does the API connect, where are we connecting through the API, and what's it going to look like on the other side, and the UX and everything else. But is there also a discussion running in tandem with the marketing team, with the two product owners should at this point be like best friends. They should be sharing statistics and user information, saying this is really where we see traction. We see traction in firms in these particular practice areas and with this number of users. And then segment that out. And if you're not collecting practice area information and number of employees, those are two of the best metrics or data points that you can collect on both new leads and existing clients. If you are not, as well as their feature usage, so you, if possible in your development or the architecture of your product, can collect data on the features that they use most. Like, are they using calendaring more than they're using time and billing, or are they using, particular features where an action can be tracked and the data collected? Because that will give you so much more powerful ammunition and the ability to target your content to where it speaks to the problem that they deal with on a regular basis. So with segmentation of specific users, my two recommendations would be number of employees or users in the firm and practice area, and then also combining that with an incentive to try. So combine with an urgency or an offer that expires. So, we've things like if you sign up for our partner software and turn on your integration, then we will give you, 10% off of your next, 3 months. Or maybe it's something like try a combination for prospects. You could do try a combination of our two services when you start your account today, and your next, your first 30 days is a special price or a special rate to jumpstart them using not just one product, but two. So the list segmentation to specific users and then combined with that incentive to try is really a powerful combination. So the announcement is the first part, but don't give up on the integration after that first week of glow around the press release has dissipated. This should be a strategy that you have with your customer base on an ongoing basis, because that's also really where integration partners get frustrated and they stop making the effort. So if you have a stronger marketing team than your partner does, you may have more resources, they may be a startup, whatever the situation is. Again, the two product owners should have constant communication. The two directors of marketing or marketing managers should have constant communication. and the communication plan around the announcement of that integration and the communication to the customer base, two different things should be shared and agreed upon between the two organizations, so that in both cases you are making the effort. The only exception to this is when you're integrating with something like, you know, Google or Office 365, or, you know, a tool where they have such a large customer base where you're probably not going to get that same marketing love, same attention. But it's an ongoing effort when you are two products in the legal space that have an overlap in your customer base to be working on that communication plan together and to uphold it for months after the announcement happens. And so we try to keep these sessions to about 30 minutes so that we keep your day moving. Two books that I'd like to recommend, especially for people trying to put some type of marketing plan together around that, you know, integration announcement, or leveraging LinkedIn for media outreach and sales and business development. LinkedIn Riches by John Nemo, and then the one-page marketing plan. This is just two, you know, LinkedIn Riches is about LinkedIn strategy, which can also be used, a lot of the talking points in this book can be used for media outreach, but then also business development. And then two is the one-page marketing plan, where you don't know where to start marketing your own product or putting together this communication plan. That this resource on the right-hand side is really great. There's a lot of like worksheets inside that you can use to just kind of start the process of laying out your strategy. And so this is one of the areas, if you haven't heard about our Mastermind coaching program, Kathy Kenton leads that as the director of the program. This is really great for startups and basically, I mean, any legal vendor in the space, no matter what the length or customer base size is. We do one-on-one coaching calls with Kathy that help you figure out strategy, identify integration partners, also leveraging both of our lists from a media outreach perspective, helping you figure out, you know, whether it's what is my homework this week, what do I need to do to reach my goals, or hey, I have an existing marketing team that could really use some coaching and guidance. We specialize in legal products and services and have a combined tenure in the space of, my goodness, over 3 decades. So actually might be over 4 decades. So we have yet to have anyone join the Mastermind program that didn't feel like they were really, you know, just supercharging what they were working towards as far as reaching their goals were concerned, and then also helping you avoid some of those ad buys or event buys that might not be a good fit for your ideal audience. I think between the two of us, we've attended nearly every single conference or event in the space, and Kathy is a wealth of knowledge in both the sales and marketing arena. So if you have any questions, now would be the time to enter them in. We do have a few minutes before we wrap up today. So feel free to enter those questions. This can be a scenario. This can be, how do I handle a particular integration? It can be about marketing strategy. We'll go ahead and answer those while we have a few minutes left. Okay, and first question is, what is the difference between PR Newswire and ALM that we mentioned earlier? So you can issue a press release for about, you know, $300. It's around $300 on PR Newswire or eNewswire or any of them. I mean, there's hundreds. And what that does is that sends out a press release to the general, you know, media networks. There's nothing really, you know, special about it. You can buy additional filters, like I want to filter and send to people in the legal industry, and then that'll increase your price by a couple $100 for each filter that you add. ALM is a legal specific media network. And so the price for that press release is $600. And difference is that it's targeted only within the legal industry. So for me, I would much rather leverage and use a legal specific news outlet where people in the industry are going to see and acknowledge the announcement that's happening, as opposed to sending it out and getting placement on, you know, Yahoo Finance. Now, if you have the budget, doing both is ideal. And again, you're going to get placement either way. It's just the difference is the networks that you'll get placement on. So you'll be picked up by, you know, the Yahoos and the Market Watch and the general news outlets that republish a lot of things that go out. But are they going to be specific to your brand, and are legal professionals or your target client, potential client, reading those news sources? So that's just something to think about there. And then follow-up question to that is, in the press release, are there components that you absolutely must have? Yes, so components that we absolutely must have is a quote from either both of the CEOs, or if again you're doing, you know, an announcement like Office 365 or Google integration or something like that, you most likely won't be able to get a quote from that side. So in that case, try and get a quote from a client who would be willing to share their experience. Maybe they beta tested, or they've at least seen the integration and they're excited about using it. So in place of getting a quote from the other CEO, if that's not available, I would use a quote from a client. And then also you can list another just kind of like technical PR question is you can list both of the cities. So if you are issuing it in conjunction with the other organization, you list the city that you are headquartered in and the city that they are headquartered in. And that's important because if any local news outlets pick up on the release, they may want to reach out and do an in-person interview, or be more likely to talk to you because you're in their local area. So just wanted to thank everybody for joining me today. This is my contact information. You can also reach me on LinkedIn or at the legaltechnologymediagroup.com or legaltechmg.com is the shorter version. Thank you all so much for your time this afternoon. We're coming up on our 30-minute mark, and we will have more vendor webinars scheduled here in the next few weeks. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me, and as always, feel free to reach out to me with any individual questions. The session has been recorded, and you are welcome to share it with anyone else that you would like. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your afternoon.